Here's the next hot rod. So I traded a truck I had for about 20 years for this thing. So we got a nice red little GMC Sierra, and it's not growing too much mold yet. Pretty clean inside. Got a little bit of damage on the seat right there, no big deal. But really nice rig. I get a bit of crap for pulling apart an LS motor, and I found two bad rocker arms, and or push rods really, and then the rockers were wore the same way. So I went to the yard, got a couple more. I pulled cylinder heads off. A bunch of these water passages are covered up. So I don't think I did such a bad idea. I just want to throw a new set of gaskets on the engine, you know. It ended up being the bad rocker arms. They got a groove on both of these, and they have a groove on the push rods also. And then when you put the ball in the socket and turn it, like, you know, if you spin it, the push rod in there, you can feel how gritty it is, and you don't want that. So I went to the junkyard and grabbed a couple. This is our 4L80. I was just checking it over a little bit. Gonna replace the output shaft seal and pan gasket, and the filter, and I'll put the torque converter back on it when I get it off of here. I'll probably do the front seal also because it's a little oily up here. And that's about it for this 4L80. Hopefully it's good. Yeah, I mean, they cost enough used, so it took me about a year to get these parts together, so let's see. Here's the state of our 5.3. I thought it was a 4.8, but I got a longer stroke, so apparently it's a 5.3. So we've been cleaning up parts, run them through the ultrasonic cleaner. I've had a bunch of parts sitting on the shelf, so I'm gonna replace these trunnions just because I already have the kit, like not for any other reason. Anyway, I had two bad rocker arms and two bad push rods, so I pulled those out. And then I've been looking at all the lifters. The internal part of the lifter doesn't even want to move, but and I've been pulling these apart, so I'm just going to clean all these. I think I'm going to end up with new lifters, and I'm having the cylinder heads washed, and I'm just going to have them put the new springs on it at the machine shop and stuff, and just get it ready to drop back on. I think the new lifters come with trays, but these are a good set of trays. The trays are still good. A lot of this stuff is still good, so I'm just going to continue to clean it and keep it for spares. There's nothing wrong with some of this stuff. These came out surprisingly great. Like, this is one of them engines that had so much of that carbon in it that I rarely ever see. But I've been cleaning it up. I pulled the front cover and the rear cover off and cleaned it. Was just checking the old barbell here for any whatever you need to look for. But anyway, a lot of this stuff's in pretty good shape, so I'm just gonna reuse it. And yeah, we're gonna gap these rings. That's gonna be the fun part. That's why the motor came apart in the first place. We're just gapping the rings. So and I got a Super Richie cam to put in there from Richard Holdner. The Truck Plus cam, which is going to even be better with a 5.3 than a 4.8 because it's a little bit bigger. It's got specs similar to an 8720, and if it's got similar specs to some other cam, then I don't know. But I always wanted to try the Summit 8720, and I guess now they got the 8720R1 or whatever it is. I got the 8706 in the wagon. I like it, but it's a little big for the little motor. So yeah, and the front, so I got the front cover all cleaned up and everything. So it's just getting ready. We're gonna check over and clean all these parts. All I can do is clean because I don't have any money for parts like one at a time. So I'm just gonna not try to go crazy, but I'm just gonna clean the block as much as I can while I'm taking the pistons out. I'll probably measure a couple of the rod bearings I got like 4 or 5 rod bearings I picked up during Rocky Mountain Race Week because I thought somebody might need them, and I just happened to have them in the toolbox. So I got some random stuff. I have a set of like Brian Tooley Racing push rods that I'm going to put in here, but I've ended up going to the junkyard, getting 4 more rockers and a couple of push rods, just so I have a full set of everything, because I like the junkyard theme. But at the yard, the issue was I pulled a valve cover off, and on one side was as bad as, okay, so one side, 8 bad push rods, 8 bad rocker arms. And that's because, like, the thing in here, the little where the push rod goes in, when they're not shiny, when they have like actual grinding looking marks on them, because the push rod's not spinning or doing anything, and it's just probably dry. Anyway, that's no good. So that's what I had. I had 2 of those on this engine, which I'm a little more thankful for than the whatever that 5.3 was at the junkyard. So I'm not really finding like complete motors that are in that good a shape, because the top ends are kind of nasty, you know. Great cylinder heads, but luckily these parts aren't that bad. A new set of lifters, it's like $120, you know, for a nice set of LS7 lifters. You know, I don't think I paid that much for the push rods. I bought them a long time ago. I just been saving parts, you know. I've been looking at little ways I can make the engine more consistent. Can't have enough push rods, so I got me some just 80 wall 11/32 push rods, you know, drop-ins for the wagon. Actually, it has a 600 lift cam, and then I'm running the pack 12/18s just like I did on the wagon. So this is very sloppy build here. Unfortunately, this engine also had the head gaskets weren't MLS, so I guess it's one of the earlier ones is what somebody told me. So I couldn't just reuse the head gaskets. So I'm just gonna end up buying a head gasket kit, because head gaskets seem to be like half of the price of the entire gasket kit. I'm just gonna order the whole damn thing, and I need a couple anyways, because I'm gonna do front and rear main seal. And it's just as easy and won't take any more time to assemble it with new gaskets. And there's oil all over the engine anyway, so some of the gaskets weren't working out. And I certainly save everything that looks good, just in case I need to use it on something that's worse. So this is not a high dollar build. This is as cheap as I could do it. You know, I think I paid $750 for this engine well over a year ago. You know, the transmission ended up costing me like $600 or something like that. And I had to wait a while to buy that. And so if you can relate to that kind of build, that's the kind of stuff we build. If it looks like there's lots of money here, there's not a lot of money here. There's like no money. And I would love to be like one of them other guys that just gets good engines, but this is better than my last engine. My last engine, you turned it over, it sounded like a change purse. So this one's a lot better. It was complete. I definitely agree with that. I was missing a bunch of bolts in the transmission pan and the tail shaft housing. So I just went to the junkyard, paid the $3 entry fee, and, you know, pulled out a bunch of bolts one day. So I would have loved to get another 4L80 like I did. The wagon 4L80 cost me less than $300 at the junkyard. But I haven't seen too many two-wheel drives, and I try to get the ones that are 2001 and later 4L80s, just because kind of like factory better option. So anyway, and I had a wiring harness for the transmission, so I just threw that in. Like, I've been collecting parts off and on when things were better, so I got a handful of things. We got the trunnion kit. I've never put one in. I just ran the other engine. It runs great. I've turned it to $7,000. I don't do that rate normally. I just turn it about 6 or 6,500. You know, just runs good on that wagon. And and that intake manifold's kind of designed for that range anyway. So, and then we're gonna put in some trunnions. If you want to see a video on that, I suppose I could share. I could show you all the parts that go in one of these lifters. Check this out. I mean, there's a couple videos of these guys pulling them apart. You know, pull that thing out. There's a little cup where the push rod goes, and those weren't damaged on the push rods. It was the side that was at the top that was damaged. It's got this little flat guy here. This thing that goes up and down and stuff. And then it has a ball, a spring, a little cover for the next spring, the spring, and then the lifter body with the roller in the bottom. And these all seem to be rolling fine. I wouldn't have no problem putting these in an engine if I can get the rest of this crap to move. So I'm gonna put these back in the ultrasonic machine in some paint thinner or something, and then try not to blow up everybody. And oh, I found a set of ARP flex plate bolts, but I've been debating whether or not to get an SFI flex plate. I got a stock GM one with a spacer on eBay. It was still stupid expensive. Like 80 bucks, man. It's hard to put this stuff together sometimes. But I seen Jegs had an offer for a SFI 4L80 flex plate. And so I might look into that when the time comes. When I'm ready to bolt them together. Not now. I don't really care. All the hardware cleaned up good. The crazy thing about some of these bolts that go in the rocker arms is on every one of them out of 3 different engines had a gasket sealer on the bottom of them. And maybe it's just to help them not spin or something. Or not have oil go down them or something. I don't know. Maybe they wick down and they would rather them go over the top. I'm not sure. I didn't see a service bulletin of them. But maybe there is. I gotta look deeper into that VM software and see if there's something in there. Yeah, and I'd like to find one of the kits like I found for the wagon of the 4-port kit. That would just make it easy if I can find one at the junkyard. You know, but sometimes, man, it's hard to get the intake manifold off in any decent amount of time sometimes when you're leaning over. So I don't really have a method. I hate taking like a saw to the wiring harnesses just straight away, but you know, maybe that's the only way. So yeah, we got some parts here. So if you're not familiar, I mean, these are your rocker arms here, and they go on here, and when they're on there, they look like that all together. And they got the little shafty deal, and then you got a push rod that I don't have one laying here. Anyway, the push rod goes from the back side of this thing, and in an LS motor you got to remove the let me see, the push rods you can't see in the lifter valley like an old small block. And but you can use the same small block lifter puller that looks like this to pull LS lifters out, because these were actually stuck, and I used the old carburetor cleaner method and let them soak and kind of pulled them out with a pair of needle nose. But I think that puller would have worked better, been a little safer for them. So you can use your same old small block lifter puller to pull these out, and then when you get them all out, you can just take a look at it and stuff. The cam looks great, all the lobes look great. I'll probably just do a quick over the nose measurement on all of them and just see if they're all similar, just to see if any particular lobe was wore down any more than the other ones. Anyway, we'll have a stock LM7 camshaft. I got a LQ9 camshaft. Now I got 2. I got 3 camshafts. Or I got 4 or something. I guess I'll make something out of it. And anyway, and these are the lifter trays, and the lifters are held in. You know, they just pop in when you hear lifter trays. They just go in like this. You know, they flip over and they just roll. It's pretty nice. And these just drop down into those slots right there. You just put them in right there, and then they're held in with a bolt and these little plastic things. And these ain't even wore. I mean, you could tell because they ain't falling out. So they ain't even wore that much at all, and so they're really nice. I'd keep them for a spare set for sure. So I'm gonna keep those, and yeah, maybe we'll get on Rock Auto and look at head bolts. I don't know, should just reuse these things. But this motor's actually going to be boosted, so if I could get an inexpensive set of studs, it's better, you know. Maybe I'll have to go to the torque test channel to, you know how we do, and see what's out there that can beat the stock hardware for cheap. But anyway, just going to clean up that block. A high-tech trunnion remover tool. Just put this guy in here. Feels pretty good. Let's see what happens. The tool seems to be interacting. Let's see what happens. That's it. Release it here just a little bit. Okay, somehow put the thing in. Get that out. Just like let the pieces go in here. There we go. About 14 more to go. Should be all good. $5 fixture here, man. Okay, I think we figured this out since they must have put all the wrong bolts in, or somebody before. Anyway, I had to helicoil this one, this one, this one over there, and this one I just drilled deep on accident. But anyway, I just put a long bolt in there and it catches the threads on the backside, so we can at least put the pan on and have it sealed up. So that'd be great. So our main goal today is to get this off of the engine stand so we can put an engine on here so we can get the gap in them rings, see what that bottom end looks like. But what I want to do first is put the dipstick in, and then when we get the dipstick in, just make sure we put a mark on it right at the level of the bottom of the casting here, and that'll be the full mark for the 4L80. So we're going to run to the junkyard and try to find us a suitable candidate, and we're just going to use any one we can find that fits our dipstick tube. Yeah, as long as it's long enough and I can cut it and I can put a mark on it right here, I don't even care what it's out of. So I'm just going to mark it at the top there, and then measure this, and then put another mark. Looks like yeah, almost 3/8. Anyway, I'll put a mark on the dipstick because those two are the original marks and they're just wrong. These are the difference in lengths between a 4L80 flex plate to crankshaft bolt to a 4L60, and the reason is there's a spacer back there. It's not tight right now, but the flywheel's flat. On the 4L60 flywheel, it's dished. It's got a dish to it, and you can see that sticks out like that. And the 4L80 bolts also have this little collar around them when they're new. Otherwise, if you pull them out at the yard or something like that, these little collars here could be into the flex plate, and then you might have to pound them out, you know, just get on the very edge of it with a hammer and just tap around, and they come out pretty easy. Well, I just finished putting back together all 16 of the lifters for that motor, and they operate, you know, seemingly a lot better than they did. There's a lot of crud in them. It seemed very labor intensive unless you had some way to clean the parts very well in one shot, all of them, like tearing them down wasn't inherently hard. It did take a slide hammer because there was so much crap in them, and then there's a lot of little tiny springs and stuff like that, and you know, I don't know how good all those things are over a long period of time, and very labor intensive when you can get a new set of like Elgin lifters or other lifters for $120 or something. So yeah.